to Gaur Nitar. I seek my blessings from all of you, so that whatever I'm saying, if there are any corrections, please do correct me. Hare Krishna. So just read. So we are reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 2, verse number 31. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Vipanan Vishapanena Nigrahya Pujagatipam Uttapya Pyaya Yadgavas Tatoyam Prakriti Stitam. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The inhabitants of Vrindavan were perplexed by great difficulties because a certain portion of the Yamuna was poisoned by the chief of the reptiles, Kalia. The Lord chastised the snake king within the water and drove him away. And after coming out of the river, he caused the cows to drink the water and proved that the water was again in its natural state. Om Jnana-timirandhasya Jnana-Janashalakaya Chakshun-militam Yena Tasmai Shri-Guruve Namaha. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So thank you very much again. As we know, in chapter 2, we are going through verses where Uddhava and Vidura, they are, when Vidura asked Uddhava about Krishna, Uddhava showed signs of ecstasy, devotional ecstasy initially, and then he came down to the material plane, and then he started to tell Vidura about Krishna. And in the recent verses, we have been hearing about Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. And yesterday, Prabhuji beautifully took us through some of the pastimes. And today we are going to look into the pastime of Kaliya, the serpent. Now it's a pastime which is quite popular, but as is the case with spiritual matters, we understand that the more we hear about it, and it happens with me all the time, it may be the same pastime hearing many times, but every time there is a different kind of pleasure in listening to the pastimes, and that is the real reason of why we are advised and we are encouraged by acharyas, by elevated devotees to read and read and read and understand and see what we can get from these. And as I was, reading and trying to do some research around the Kaliya pastime, I realized that there are just so many other things, which was the first time realization for me, or maybe perhaps I had heard about them, but it made me realize a bit more. So sharing all of that with you. Again, if I do make any mistakes, please do correct me. So this is a pastime. So first of all, as we know, and as we were hearing in the class yesterday as well, all of these pastimes, it's killing the demons. As we know, in Kali Yuga, Krishna did not take up any weapon. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he killed the demons by giving the Harinam, and that cleansed our heart of all the anarthas. Going back to Dwapar Yuga, or Treta Yuga or Satya Yuga, the demons, the physical demons, were actually killed. And each of these demons, they represented an anartha, or a quality which is not very conducive for Krishna consciousness or devotional service. Now, the anarthas associated with the Kaliya pastime are, as given to us by acharyas, are envy, malice, pride, deceit, sense of wanting to harm others, and unkind crookedness. So all of these kinds, so envy, malice, pride, deceit, or a sense of wanting to do harm to others, and some kind of unkind crookedness, which is very, very, typical of a snake. Now, as we go through the pastime, let's reflect on, are we picking up this behavior somewhere? And when we come to the end of the pastime, we can reflect on these again and see if we have come across these as we did the discussion. So it goes back to where, during the time of Swayambhuva Manu, there was a sage called Vedashira Muni. And Vedashira Muni, he had his own hermitage, a quiet place, his own place where he performed, years and years, he performed austerities and really strict austerities, and he wanted to do that in quiet. And then he had a visitor to his place called Ashvashira Muni. And Ashvashira Muni, he also came there. He also was practicing austerity. And Vedashira Muni, as soon as he saw that Ashvashira Muni was performing austerity in his place, at the same place, he didn't quite like it. And this immediately tells the first thing to us, what can we learn from here? We think, and it really made me reflect as well, we think that we understand that, practicing as devotees, the first thing we are told is that nothing really belongs to us. In this material world, everything is disposable. Nothing really is permanent. Nothing really stays with us forever. And yet, despite knowing all of that, we act through our lives, we act that everything belongs to us. This is my house, my car, my place. And Vedashira Muni was doing exactly the same. He was telling Ashvashira Muni, why can't you go and do your devotion and your austerity somewhere else? Why do you have to come over here and do that in my place? And so there was this squabble between the two rishis. And you would think, all these kind of things, they usually happen in mundane society. But no, even amongst rishis and elevated devotees, such things do happen. And so during this exchange of not very nice words between the two of them, Ashvashira Muni told Vedashira Muni that you are really hissing like a snake. Okay, and so you will become a snake in your next life, and you will be terrified by Garuda. Garuda is none other than the carrier of Lord Vishnu, and Garuda is known for having an appetite for snakes. Garuda does eat snake. So Ashvashira Muni said, "You are cursed, and you're hissing like a snake. You will become a snake, and you will be terrified of Garuda." And so it became a bit of an ego battle between the two. And so Vedashira Muni, why would, he thought, why am I going to, keep quiet? I have just been cursed. And so he counter-cursed. And he counter-cursed Ashvashira Muni, saying that, you are just talking and croaking like a crow. Constantly talking and croaking like a crow, you are going to become um, uh, a crow in your next life. And I'm cursing you that you will become a crow. And at that point, because the things were getting very heated between the two, and both were great devotees, at that point, Lord Vishnu thought, I have to intervene. And so he came in front of the both of them. And he said that you are both equally dear to me. You're both equally dear to me. And look what you have done. You've both cursed each other. Now, I cannot go back. I can go back on my own words, but I cannot go back on the words of my dear devotees. I mean, as we all know, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita 9.31, Name Bhakta Pranashyati, O Arjuna, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. And why does Krishna make Arjuna say that? That this phrase that my devotees never perish, because Krishna may go back on his word. When it comes to his devotees, Krishna can do anything, even if it means breaking his promise, making himself look like a liar. Krishna can do anything for his devotees. So he did not take the chance of saying such a declaration. He made Arjuna do that, and he said, "Say it boldly that my devotees never perish," meaning that, Arjuna, you're the true devotee. Whatever happens, Krishna can never allow Arjuna to break his promise. And so Arjuna is capable of holding this promise and saying such a true thing, which is going to be declared to the whole of mankind. So similarly, the Lord is saying over here again, reiterating the fact he's always reiterated in so many of his pastimes, that he doesn't allow his devotees to go back on their words, or his devotees to do something which is not very nice, or if they have said something, it's very difficult to take back the curse of a devotee. And so Krishna said, I can't make you take my, it's not possible to go back on your curses because you're true devotees. However, I think I know of a way to resolve this matter. And so Krishna says that to Vedashura Muni, that, I am going to put my foot on your head so that you will never ever fear Garuda. You will have that shelter of me, and you will never fear Garuda. And to Ashvashira Muni, Vishnu said that you will be born as a crow. I can't save you from that, but I will give you transcendental knowledge. And so Ashvashira Muni became the crow Pushunda in his next life, a devotee of Lord Ram. And later, in one point, Pushunda the crow actually recited Ramayana to Garuda. And Vedashira Muni, as you might have all guessed by now, in his next life, he took the birth of Kaliya, the phenomenous Naga, or the serpent. And the Kaliya story, this pastime, is told in the 16th chapter of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And we see that it actually covers a couple of chapters. So over here, what happens is, so let's read a little bit about the background, and I'm reading this from books by Srila Prabhupada, from Krishna book, where it says that there used to be this land of serpents called, and which was called, a Naga land full of serpents. And Kaliya was one of the chief serpents over there. Now, being accustomed, the island was called as Nagalaya. This is from chapter 17 of Krishna book. And Kaliya and Nagalaya was inhabited by serpents, and Kaliya was one of the chief serpents over there. And Garuda, who was accustomed to eating snakes, he used to come to the island and kill snakes. And some of them he would eat, but some of the snakes were unnecessarily killed. And so by all of this, the reptile society, they became quite disturbed, and they were always fearful. They knew Garuda was the Lord's carrier, but they became a bit fearful of what was happening. And so they went to their leader, who was Vasuki. And Vasuki appealed to Lord Brahma. And so Lord Brahma made an arrangement by which Garuda would not create a disturbance, but every half moon day, the reptile community would offer a serpent to Garuda, and the serpent would be kept underneath a tree as a sacrificial offering to Garuda. And Garuda was happy with this arrangement, and therefore he stopped disturbing the serpent community. However, now we come to Kalia. He was one of the chief snakes. Gradually, Kalia started taking advantage of this situation. Okay, he became proud. He became proud. Kalia became proud of his increasing power, of his material possessions, and also the amount of poison that he had in his body. So that for a snake, the amount of poison is their power. And Kalia became proud of this. And so he started taking advantage of this, and he started thinking that, why should Garuda be offered this sacrifice? Okay, why not me? I'm one of the chiefs. And then what he did was, instead of offering those sacrifices to Garuda, what was left for Garuda, he started eating them himself. And that is exactly, the pride that we talk about, And Garuda, when Garuda realized this, he was a great, he's the Lord's carrier. He's a great devotee himself. And when he realized that Kalia was eating his food, he became extremely angry. And he rushed to the island to kill to kill Kalia. And then Kalia tried to fight Garuda, and he faced, he ran to all the planetary systems, but Garuda was there, chasing him, and chasing him. And then Kalia did something. But before he did something else, whilst Garuda is chasing, let's take a step back and let's look at the pride of Kalia. We are usually, we compare that to ourselves. In this material world, we think if we just get a little bit, we think, oh, that is mine. This is my wealth. This is my power, my strength, my intelligence. I have this knowledge. I have this beauty. I have this, power, and I can do so much. However, we go back to what the Lord says to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita 7.8. The Lord says, Krishna says very, very clearly to Arjuna over here, Arjuna, I am the ability in man. And then Krishna also says further, Krishna goes in chapter 10 of Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10:39. So the first one, when Krishna says, I am the ability of man, that's Bhagavad Gita 7.8. And then Krishna goes to chapter 10, verse 39. And Krishna says that Arjuna, there is nothing, no being more moving or non-moving that can exist without me. So whether it's moving or whether it's non-moving, nothing can exist without me. And we know that, yes, some people know that, some people may not even want to know that, and some people, do not come across that or do not know that. But, to all around us, whether they know, whether they are a devotee or a non-devotee, we understand that nothing is permanent. There is birth and there is death. There is birth and there is death. Everything is transient. It's something which is, people fall from power within a day. So nothing is permanent. So this impermanence is open to everyone. And yet people cling to the idea that this is mine. But what we are being told here, what we are being asked to reflect on is the ability. We might think that, this is mine and this is mine. Yes, this intelligence is mine. This beauty or this power is mine. And this beauty or this intelligence, they all come from the opulence of the Lord. Again, something the Lord reiterates in chapter 10 of, starts in chapter 9 and then also in chapter 10. And then in chapter 11, he shows the Vishwarib to Arjuna. But the Lord says that, all of this, they are part part of the Lord's own opulence, and that is the reason the jivas get it. But one may have that some talent. One may be able to sing very well. One may be able to dance very well. But that may be there. But how is that recognized? You can see a beautiful, there are so many singing and dancing competitions around us, so many different types of competitions around us. And one may think that, a person is able to showcase their talent to the rest of the world or to a group of people only because there is the ability, they have been given the opportunity to be able to do so. Okay, there might be somebody in a remote place who could sing equally beautifully, but they may not have the ability or they may not have the opportunity to showcase their talent. So one may be good in something, okay, but whether that goodness is actually told to the others so that that person is celebrated, that is entirely and entirely in the hands of Krishna. So Kalia might be thinking that, yes, I am, I have lots of poison, but whether he would be able to apply that poison to do something, that is entirely in the hands of Krishna. So to think that we have any kind of material possession and to think that we have the ability to use that material possession to our benefit, that is pride. First of all, just, acknowledging the fact that I have something better than others, that is pride in itself. And on top of that, thinking that what I have, I can use that to glorify myself or make my position even better, not factoring the point that everything, the ultimate sanctioning lies on Krishna. That ability is Krishna's, not acknowledging that that is pride as well. And Kalia had all of that. So our achievement, our so-called achievement in life is simply by the mercy of the Lord. And we have to keep acknowledging that, whether it's the mercy of our Lord in the material world. Krishna says we have to accept, we have to treat our Guru as our Lord. Because we don't have the material eyes to be able to see Krishna and Radharani, the person we can see who is constantly in touch with Radharani and Krishna is our Guru. So our Guru is our God. And so it is with the mercy of our Guru, with the mercy of Radharani and Krishna, with the mercy of elevated devotees, that we are able to achieve something, even if we have lots of material possessions. So then we see that, the ability to, when we talk about the ability to do something, let's also come to a different thing. So Kalia, he was chased by Garuda, okay? And then because he couldn't really find any route of escape from Garuda in all the three worlds, he went and he surrendered to Sheshnag, Sheshnag, okay? And now we see that he has actually surrendered to someone. Now, the ultimate goal of our life, as Krishna says, to Arjuna, just leave everything, surrender unto me. In chapter 18, he says that, yes? Sarvadharman parityajan mamekam sharanam vraja. So he says, surrendering. Now, the demons, we understand, in the earlier days, that even the demons were very, very clever. The demons today in Kali Yuga, they are different to the demons in the earlier ages. I was listening to a beautiful class by Bhuta Bhavana Prabhu, and he was mentioning this point that the demons in Kali Yuga are different. In the earlier ages, the demons were more intelligent. So Kalia, could be called a demon because, you know, he was a Naga, he was being full of pride, and he had all the anarthas, and he was wanting, you know, he was going against a devotee of the Lord. So he could be called a demon. And so these demons were demons, but they were, as Buddha Prabhu was saying, they are high-class demons. And they understood that there was something very, very, very special about the devotees of the Lord. The potency and the prowess, and these devotees, they had the strength to do a lot. Just like we were saying, the guru, with the guru's mercy, we can do anything. Okay, so the demons in the earlier ages, yugas, they understood that these devotees of the Lord, they had the ability to do a lot of things. They had that power, they had that strength. But most of all, they had a wonderful, wonderful quality which the demons recognized, and that was the quality of mercy, the quality of compassion. Even the demons in the earlier ages understood that. And so they understood that such people, they have unlimited amount of mercy and compassion. So Kalia took protection of Anantashesha, and he asked, how can I run away, or how can I be protected against Garuda? Anantashesha, as we know, he's a devotee, is a great devotee as well. And obviously being full of compassion, he told Garuda that there is one place you can go and you can be safe. And he said that Garuda, because he was cursed by Shaubari Muni, and we read about Shaubari Muni in Krishna book in or chapter 17, and also the downfall of Shaubari Muni we'll read later in Srimad Bhagavatam in Canto 9, chapter 6. And Shaubari Muni, again, was a great Muni, and he used to meditate under the river Yamuna. And he used to and Garuda used to come and underwater, and Garuda used to take fish from there, and then Garuda didn't want to take all the fish, disturb all the fish of Yamuna, because Yamuna, again, a great devotee, Mother Yamuna. So Garuda used to take maybe one fish at one time, and then once he took a big fish, and that happened to be a leader of a fish. And Shaubari Muni, being in meditation underwater, he didn't particularly like that. So he cursed Garuda that you will, if you ever come in this place, you will be killed. And so Anantashesha, he told Kalia that you can actually go to Yamuna. There are lakes around, in the river, small lakes, around there. You can go there, and you can stay there. Garuda will not be able to go there. And so Kalia fled to a lake named Kalia Daha, which was a small lake in Yamuna River, and he stayed there with his family, with his wives and his family, his offspring. So, and because he was so very poisonous, now when we talk about the word poison, now we can literally think of poison, but we can also metaphorically think about poison. We think of our association. When we think of Kalia, nobody wanted to be around him in Yamuna, because the entire river of Yamuna, it started boiling and bubbling. It was, steam and vapor came out of the river because of the strong poison in Kalia. No bird or beast would actually pass around there. And there was only one solitary kadamba tree which grew on the river bank. And that is the power of poison. So we are being warned over here. We hear about, yes, poison can be in the material sense. We hear about, people having food poisoning, not eating the right thing. But it could also be the poison of words, something which Prabhupada, which all our gurus, our acharyas tell us, Vachabhay Vegam, tell us all the time, be careful of what you're talking about. Be careful of associates who don't talk the right things. And so that is what we are also being reminded of over here. You want to stay away from people who are poisonous, who can make your life poisonous. They can brainwash you because the mind is very, very fickle, as we hear so many times in Bhagavad Gita. The mind is so fickle. And because of our conditioned position in this material world, our soul, which is Satchidananda, but it's covered by Maya and contamination. And so it is ruled so many times, most of the times, by the mind. Our consciousness and our intellect is ruled by the mind because they fall under Maya. And such poison association is a big, big influence when it comes to either us, coming above or going down. So this poison of Kaliya can be interpreted as not just material poison, as the physical poison, but also metaphorically as poisonous association, poisonous words, or anything poisonous, meaning anything which is not conducive to Krishna consciousness, anything not conducive to practicing devotion. Now, Krishna and his friends would often go to the banks of Yamuna to graze their cows. And the cows would drink the water from the river, and sometimes Krishna would go there by himself. Sometimes he would go there with his, friends and the cowherd boys and the cows, and they would play around there, drink water from the river. And so this particular day, they were all there. Balaram, except Balaram, everybody else went there, the cowherd boys, Krishna, and the cows. And they all drank water. So the cowherd boys, they drank water from the river. The cows drank water. They immediately fell dead. Now, when we are reading the pastimes later on, we will read in more details, but we are only being told about, briefly over here. So they fell dead, and Krishna saw that, and he immediately understood. So Krishna just glanced at them, he glanced at them and he brought the cowherd boys and the cows back to life immediately. And then what did he do? He understood, what was happening. He knew about Kaliya because there had been other instances where, once Radharani got very frightened of Kaliya, and he came and told Krishna, and Krishna had, warned Kaliya previously as well to go away, which Kaliya obviously didn't. And then, this happened. So after bringing back the cowherd boys and the cows back to life, Krishna then climbed that soul Kadamba tree, and from that tree, he jumped into the water. Yamuna. Now, it's explained by acharyas over here that just by the touch of Krishna's feet, that Kadamba tree, which was, almost on the verge of dying, apparently Garuda had, given some or left some nectar or amrit on that tree. So it was almost on the verge of dying, as every other plant around was dead. Everything, birds and bees didn't come around because of the poison. But this Kadamba tree was just, on the verge of dying. It was almost dead. However, as Krishna jumped on it, it brought the tree back to life. And then when Krishna jumped into the water, he made a huge splash and a sound, just deliberately. And that alerted Kaliya, and that someone had entered into his lake, his space. And immediately we see the parallel from his previous life. okay, where the Muni, Vedashira Muni, he had, got really, really irritated when Ashvashira Muni came to his space, his hermitage, to perform bhakti, devotion. And so so that stayed with him from his previous life to this life. And so Kalia immediately, got very alerted, and he got very angry. And so he started approaching towards that sound, towards Krishna. And he did so with great anger. He was really bursting with anger. And he saw Krishna, and he coiled his 100 heads around Krishna, and he bit Krishna with his fangs. Now, on the banks of the Yamuna, there were the gopas standing, and there was the cowherd and the cow standing. And one of the gopas, he had gone to the village and alerted all the Vrajavasis. Everybody had come, and then they were just looking at what was happening in the river. And they were all there, and they were anxious, and they were very, very fearful. They were just so fearful of what was happening. Now, their entire lives, the entire lives of the Vrajavasis centered around Krishna. If Krishna was there, they had their own families, but their entire lives centered around Krishna. They would tell off Krishna that you steal our butter, and yet they would, make sure that they would put some butter in a place where Krishna is able to steal the butter, just so that they can get an opportunity to talk to Krishna or tell him off. So they would create opportunities, even if it is at the detriment of what was happening to them, their lives just would be, what is Krishna doing? So to see the center of their lives, their attention being in this, being bitten by this phenomenous huge snake, they were just, full of fear. And there was just one person who did not react at all. He just stood at the bank and he was just smiling. And that was Balaram. Because Balaram, I mean, we know Balaram is none other than Krishna himself. He is the first expansion of Krishna. And there is really no difference between Krishna. Krishna has unlimited opulences. Of that, there are 64 main opulences. Balaram has the same 64 opulences. Balaram is Krishna in his work mood because all the incarnations come from him. The only thing is that there is a difference in mood and there is a difference in complexion. So Balaram was there, and he was standing and smiling. In fact, Mother Yashoda, you can imagine what was happening to her. Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj, they were just wanting, screaming to jump into the river and just to save Krishna. And Balaram stopped them because Balaram knew that Krishna was not in danger at all. So Krishna could also, see what was happening. And so Krishna had said that Krishna remained in the coils of Kaliya for about 2 hours. And then when he saw that all the Vrajavasis, they were on the point of death, they just got so anxious that they were on the point of death. That is when Krishna freed himself from the coils. And then Krishna and Kaliya started to fight, and it was a long fight. To make it short, Krishna subdued Kaliya. And then he jumped on the hoods of Kaliya. He started dancing and jumped from one hood to the other. He also started playing his flute on the heads and when Kaliya would, from where Krishna would be dancing, if Kaliya tried to attack him with the other hoods, Krishna would just jump on those hoods and then, subdue Kaliya again. Now, with Krishna jumping on Kaliya's hoods, that was quite heavy steps. What was happening was Kaliya, because they were very, very heavy, Kaliya started vomiting poison. And he started vomiting and vomiting and vomiting poison until all the poison had gone from him. And that is what, again, signifying that all that poisonous thing inside him had gone. And so we go back to what we were talking about ability earlier as well. We cannot do anything without the ability, without the sanctioning of Krishna. Even surrendering, we cannot surrender until Krishna allows us to surrender, until our guru thinks that yes, we are ready to surrender. So Krishna allowed Kalia to vomit, to take out all that poison from her. And the more Kalia vomited out that poison, the more he became purified. And now so we understand how we can compare that to our own daily devotional service. So the more we understand that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the more we are able to have that complete blind faith in Krishna. And the more we have that complete faith in Krishna, that what Krishna said, tell Arjuna, tell the entire world that my devotees never perish. The more we have that faith on that, the more we are able to surrender to him. But the problem is that we don't do that. And as I was, discussing, telling Prabhuji in the class yesterday, we know, and I can only speak for myself, many a times we know this, but it becomes so challenging to actually follow many of the things that we know. We say to Krishna that, Krishna, I am yours, but when taking decisions, we allow our minds and our desires to dictate and to control. There's a Sanskrit word that is used quite a bit, and it's called Gyan Papi. Gyan is knowledge, Papi is sinner, or it means someone who is aware of their sins or their wrongdoings, but they continue to do that in a sinful manner. So it's a very, very paradoxical situation, a paradoxical word. So, and that is because we are in the world of Maya. There are so many things we know that they are absolutely essential for us to do to accomplish our aspirations, to accomplish our dreams, our passions, and it will be immensely, it's absolutely essential that we do that, but we don't do that even knowingly. And we know that, there are things that will be, not beneficial to us at all, will have a detrimental effect on our lives, and we still end up doing that. I can't control myself, and I see lots of prasad, lovely prasad. I know there's a point when I have to stop, but I can't. We make New Year's resolutions. So it's what the acharyas say, and we try to, encourage us to keep to that, the action is recognized. What needs to be done is understood. People have that knowledge. People read, shastras, or we listen to so many classes, and I can only speak for myself, but it is the actual implementation which is so very challenging in a world of Maya, when we are attacked by Maya all the time. And then even going forward, there are the three things. There is a difference between doing something, not doing something, and there is also that third option of pretending to doing something, which is the absolute worst. So we pretend to do something that, yes, we are performing a lot of devotion, or I've chanted, 32, 64, 100, so many rounds, but are we really chanting? Because Prabhupada says you can call Krishna just once and Krishna will come, if there is that urgency in that just one call. So we have to really understand that Krishna consciousness is not really easy. It's working against the huge force of Maya. It becomes difficult at times to wake up very early every morning, especially in the cold weather. So if we are stuck, and that is because we are stuck in the fear of losing our material possessions. We don't want to lose. We don't want to, what will our family and relatives and our friends think if we go to the temple, if we, wake up and do Mangalarti every day? Oh, they will tease us. So there is that fear of losing material possession, which doesn't allow us to surrender completely. And what does Krishna tell Arjun? Arjun, just do abhyas, practice, practice, practice to control your mind so that your mind understands that this is the right thing to do. And so that is what we are being told, that, Kalia, he could have practiced that. He was, Krishna came and told him previously to leave that lake. He knew Krishna was the supreme. He understood Krishna was, superior to him, because even at that time, Krishna defeated him. Krishna didn't kill him, not as badly, but Krishna was able to subdue Kali a bit and warn him that leave this place. But Kali didn't listen. He was just wanted to enjoy his material possessions. Where he was, his own space, he was there. And so we are told, and this is something which we are told even, in our work situations as well. If we come across something challenging, be comfortable with the uncomfortable, unless and until it becomes comfortable. So you have to be comfortable even with the uncomfortable. You carry on doing that unless and until it becomes comfortable. So you might start with that one round of japa, but carry on doing it even if your mind is going all around the world. But practice before you actually start missing doing japa. And in no time, you will be able to do as many rounds as possible, but chant, not just, say the words parrot-like, say the names in a parrot way. And so that is what we are told over here. Now, we understand that how are we also being encouraged to act? We understand that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he loves his devotees more than he loves himself. And so to protect his devotees, to protect the cows, the cowherd boys, Krishna would do anything. I mean, he brought even the Govardhan Shila for Sanatan Goswami because he couldn't go around the Govardhan hill in his old age. Krishna said, you don't have to do that, just go around this Govardhan Shila. So he would do everything. So Rupa Goswami tells us in his Nectar of Devotion, or Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, in 1.1.11, he says, he talks about the Anya Vilashita Shunyam, and then he says, Anukulyena Krishnanu Shilanam Bhaktir Uttama, that all the devotional service should be devoid of material desires. That is what we have to say. First of all, we go back to the anarthas we started with: pride, deceit, wanting to enjoy, and also wanting to do harm to others. So if we do that, Kalia did all of these things. He wanted to harm others. He didn't want anyone to come near him in his space. He was proud. He was full of malice. He was full of envy that, why was Garuda getting all of that and why not me? But Rupa Goswami is saying that no, that cannot be, such things cannot be done to practice bhakti, because bhakti should be devoid of all material desires. And a devotee must constantly serve Krishna favorably as Krishna desires. And that's the key, as Krishna desires, not as we desire, not as what we want. Even a little bit of work done by Krishna, by a devotee, that pleases Krishna. And, I mean, there's no time, or else I was going to go into another pastime. Maybe we can cover that pastime another day. But so from this pastime of Kaliya, we understand that, we have to be devoid of such material pride. And Kaliya understood that at the end, and he surrendered to the Lord. And at this point, Kaliya's wives came as well. And this is a very, very important, interesting thing. Kaliya's wives, he saw that their husband was almost dead by what Krishna had done to them. However, the Kaliya's wives actually prayed to Krishna and said, how great, how fortunate is Kaliya that you were dancing on his head. And we understand that, the Lord does not come to everybody. The Lord's representative, Guru, they don't come to anybody. We were discussing before starting the class, I was discussing with, Mataji and Prabhuji, that we can't even say the names of Krishna and Radharani had we not had a little bit of Sukriti from our past lives. Sukriti, good karmic balance. If we do not, there are people in this world who are nowhere, who have never ever and never ever will hear about Krishna or any God, because they have been envious in their past lives, envious of the Lord. So they do not have that pious karmic balance to allow them to come across the names of the Lord, or come across the Lord's representative, and even more, come across the Lord himself. So Kaliya must have had some Sukriti in his past life, so that the Lord himself could come to him. And the wives of Kaliya acknowledges that. And so this is something, again, very, very interesting. And so to end the pastime, Kaliya, they surrender, they pray to the Lord, and the Lord allows Kaliya, the Lord tells Kaliya to go back to where he came from. Kaliya leaves, and as our verse says, Krishna also makes the cows drink the water, just to ensure, just to tell everybody that the water is free from all poison again. And so we understand that what are the few takeaways that we can get from this story, from this pastime? So first of all, we understand that, as Kaliya did, we take shelter of the devotees, because we do not have the ability to do things ourselves. Stay away from all the anarthas that has been highlighted through this pastime, the anarthas of envy, malice, pride, deceit, harmful towards others, and and this sense of this unkind crookedness, as we are told, just snake-like, this crookedness. So then, humility, be humble. Humility, and that gives us the freedom from false pride. As soon as one becomes humble, that takes away their pride. So the more pride rises, the less humble one becomes. The more humility rises, the less there is pride. And so we also are being encouraged to think about, how to be humble. And the last thing that we learn from this pastime is, the fourth one is to surrender completely. And and that's the answer to everything. We want Krishna to take control of our mind, our body, our soul, and our heart. We want Krishna to take control, because Krishna says he is Suhrid. Nobody can be a better friend to us than Krishna himself. And so every single day we have to remind ourselves that, Krishna, you take control of us. Yes, these are the things which are in our mind. We can say that to Krishna, but Krishna, I want to do these things for your pleasure, not for my pleasure. I mean, Kalia, what was he thinking? He was attacking a devotee of Krishna. Krishna can do anything, but he really cannot, you know, bear the fact that his devotees are being insulted or his devotees are being attacked. Because what does Krishna say to Durvasa Muni? He said that, during the Ambarish Maharaj pastime, Aham Bhakta Paradin, Aham Bhakta Paradin, I am under the control of my devotee. Now, Krishna, who really, really wishes to be under the control of his devotees, and this is, I think Panchjangara Prabhu said that to Bhuta Bhavana Prabhu. He was mentioning this. He was saying that, the reason Krishna dislikes it is because one tries to take control of people under whom Krishna wants to be under control. So Krishna wants to be under the control of his devotees. And he dislikes people who wants to control his devotees. And that is when Krishna gets angry, because it is directly against his wish. He dislikes because these are people who wants to be in charge of the people who Krishna wants to be under the control of. And so Krishna does not like it at all. And so we see that Krishna reminds that to us in this pastime again of Kaliya, to be free from all these anarthas, to take shelter of devotees, free especially from pride and envy and material possessions, to not try to be harmful to others, especially to devotees, and ultimately to surrender completely. And remember, if anyone has the opportunity, because sometimes even as devotees, we make mistakes, we commit offenses. And that is when we have to remind us that we are extremely lucky that we have the sukriti to come across a devotee, to be able to go to the temple to see the deities. Other people may not have it. So instead of, not wasting this opportunity, let's utilize this opportunity and better ourselves as devotees. And that is what Kaliya did as well. He forgot that he had Sukriti in the past. However, when Krishna came to him, he understood that and he followed what Krishna advised him to do. And he went back to his original island. So with that, I complete my discussion. I do apologize. I've gone 4 minutes overboard. If I've made any mistakes, please do forgive me. Hare Krishna. Panchakapaturubhya Shrikapasindabhya Patitanam Pavanebhya Vaishnavebhya Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you so much for today's session, and especially by making it practical so that we understand it better. I mean, we've heard the pastime of Kaliya before, but the history of who Kaliya was and his character, and it even came into this birth of his, even from a rishi to an animal. Our own impressions last. So it's so important that we purify ourselves from the anarthas now. Otherwise, we'll carry it further in the next birth as well. So thank you so much for all that clarifications and practical applications. We open it up to any questions if there are any. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Krishna Mataji. So nice to
Krishna.
see you. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji. I think I don't know if I ever opened my video before when you in your class, but yes.
Mataji.
So yes, Mataji, beautiful, beautiful class as usual. As Kritika Mataji was mentioning,
So
same,
the
yeah,
Guru is
same here.
mercy.
Like I didn't know much about how. I mean, I heard about Kalia being like curse, like why they became the those things I kind of knew, but today it was very, very clear. And yeah, that was really nice. Also, the being comfortable with the uncomfortable was the main thing today that I have to take, and also about the, like, how we are not able to control the senses when we are having prasad. I'm also same. I cannot control. I'm like, oh, it is so tasting so good. I want to have more and more. And also waking up in the morning is a challenge when the weather is very cold here too. It's very cold. So summer times it's easy, but yes, Mataji, these are the things which I will take today from the class, from the
Thank you
lesson.
so much, Mataji, for that wonderful reflection. Thank you, Mataji.
Mataji, yeah, Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.
Hare
Look
Krishna.
forward for more classes. Thank you, Kritika Mataji, and also Bhakti Mugo Prabhu for organizing these sessions for us. And Panchali Kar Mataji, thank you so much. Hari Bol.
Oh, your reflections, Mataji. Always nice to hear from you. Thank you.
Mataji, thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Let us all unmute and chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra once in glorification of Panchali Kar Mataji. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu bhairucha
Kripa Sindhu Eva Cha
patitanam
Pavanebhyo
Namo Namaha.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Her Grace Panchali Kar Mataji ki jai. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Matajis and Prabhujis. Thank you for the service opportunity. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.